Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2016 movie titled The Mechanic Resurrection starring Jason Statham. Please be advised that there might be spoilers ahead. The film begins in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where Arthur Bishop is trying to forget his past as a hitman while living a normal life. Arthur lives aboard a yacht in a picturesque seaside tourist destination. He starts his day with a cup of coffee and his favorite music, followed by a jog. He has placed a bomb in the boat as a precaution against potential robbers. Arthur goes to a well-known restaurant with a sea view one day, and everyone recognizes him. But as soon as he settles in, Renee, an unknown woman, approaches him and claims she has been looking for him for a long time. She reveals that her employer wants Arthur to assassinate 3 of his adversaries. Arthur attempts to flee because everything happens so rapidly and confuses him. But Renee threatens to divulge his whereabouts if he does not comply. Arthur then glances around and realizes she is not alone. There are several goons with varied weapons. When Renee tries to take a picture of him, he takes one of her instead, which surprises her. Shortly, a fight ensues. He takes advantage of an opportunity to flee by jumping onto the roof of a passing sky tram, feeling outnumbered. Renee and her men attempt to shoot him from the tram. But Arthur chooses to take a dangerous leap onto the back of a hand glider, allowing him to successfully evade his pursuers. He goes to his safe house and prepares his equipment and weapons, as well as phones and fake passports. He then travels to a secluded island in Thailand with a little sum of money. He encounters his friend Mai, who graciously enables him to stay in his long-abandoned ancient hut. Arthur enters his room after Mai has left and opens a portion of the hardwood floor where he previously stashed more weapons. In order to protect himself and discover more about Renee, he conducts an undercover inquiry into her. He quickly uploads Renee's previous photo and uncovers her ties to a dangerous felon named Crane, with whom Arthur has a bad history. The next day, Gina, a lovely woman, goes into Mai's beach resort asking for first aid supplies for her bruises. Mai inquires about them, but Gina walks away, saying nothing. That evening, Mai hears screams from a neighboring boat as a man named Frank mercilessly assaults Gina. Mai turns to Arthur for help, out of worry for Gina's safety, despite his reluctance to become involved. Nonetheless, he examines the situation through his binoculars and proceeds to the boat out of loyalty to Mai. Upon confronting Frank, they struggle briefly. Frank finally accidentally crushes his head on a metal rod, dying there and then. Gina faints after viewing the deceased body. While Arthur searches for the boat, Mai transports her safely to the beach. He is startled to discover a pistol, Gina's passport, and a phone with a photo of himself on it. Arthur sets the boat ablaze after finding an alarming discovery and returns to the hut. He aggressively awakens Gina and, after showing her the photo, inquires about her relationship with Crane. She remains mute until he brandishes a gun at her, at which point she confesses to having been coerced into working by Crane, who wields considerable power over her. Gina claims to have previously overseen a refuge in Cambodia for victims of human trafficking. Everything was okay, and life was somewhat normal, until one of Crane's henchmen killed one of her employees. They then threatened to harm Gina's children if she did not accept the assignment. She was tasked to seduce Arthur into falling in love with her, so that they could use her as a bait later on to have Arthur do for them their assignments. The next day, Arthur notices a boat close, accompanied by some men observing the shore. He believes Crane sent them to watch Gina's assignment. Arthur and Gina pretend to be a couple by acting in traditional Thai ways, confusing them. Gina eventually apologizes to Arthur for involving him in her perilous situation as the evening progresses. At the same time, Arthur discusses his own tragic past, revealing that the mafia sold him as an orphan and raised him as a child soldier. He tells how close they were, and how Crane stood next to him throughout those trying times. When things got difficult, Arthur left the region, leaving his partner behind. Because of this, Arthur fears Crane is plotting to exact revenge on him. As their connection grows and they continue to share their life stories, the two end up boning heavily. After assuring Gina that she is safe, Arthur reveals his plan for removing Crane and promises not to carry out the 3 kills as directed. He offers her his late father's watch as a sign that he would always protect her. However, a gang of police officers unexpectedly upsets their intentions by attempting to beat them back. Despite Arthur's attempts to resist, he eventually fails, resulting in Gina's kidnapping. He agrees to meet with Crane in order to save her, and after many years, they eventually meet. Crane then delivers Arthur a grim ultimatum. To free Gina, he must commit 3 seemingly natural murders. The first target is Krill, a well-known arms dealer now detained in Malaysia. To prepare, Arthur prepares explosives disguised as chewing gum, shark repellent disguised as skin cream, and a cigarette-shaped capsule. In addition, he creates a fake ID and takes the identity of a wanted felon. The police then arrest him while he is wandering through Malaysia's streets, and detain him. As soon as he reaches the Malaysian prison, Arthur learns about Krill and discovers that, because of the numerous threats against him, his henchmen are continuously following him. After stealthily grabbing a knife from a prisoner after lunch, Arthur intervenes to prevent a former henchman from murdering Krill. Krill is moved by his acts and invites him to a meal, promising to leave his troops outside. Arthur takes advantage of this opportunity by killing Krill. He then stages everything. When the henchmen come to check on him, Arthur diverts their attention by asking them not to bother Krill while he prays. He activates the security alert and blows a hole in the jail wall with the explosive material he has. He takes the tracking pill Crane provided him and uses shark repellent to escape capture before diving into the sea. He rejoins Crane's crew, who had waited for him on a boat. Crane assigns the following target, Adrian Cook, an Australian human trafficker. He also gives him 36 hours to get rid of the target. Arthur video chats with Gina first as proof of life. Arthur immediately launches a complete surveillance operation and discovers that Adrian's apartment is well defended, with the exception of a cantilever pool that towers over the streets. Then Arthur devises a plan to access Adrian's apartment from below. He schedules a meeting with the building's realtor, pretending to be a wealthy. Cook's penthouse is just below Arthur's apartment, which he claims to be interested in purchasing. Additionally, he copies the keys while the realtor is distracted. The next day, Arthur leaves for his mission, pretending to be a qualified mechanic. After entering the flat shown by the realtor, he uses his duplicate key to unlock a glass shield and access the swimming pool. He digs a hole beneath the pool and inserts a unique explosive. Adrian enters the pool simultaneously for his normal swim. Suddenly, he notices Arthur but the glass shatters, and he falls to his death before he can call for help. Crane, who is watching television, chuckles as he witnesses the incident and recognizes Arthur's genius. Later, Gina utilizes a window to position herself so that she can tell Arthur the boat's hull number via video chat. The latter then contacts the boat company and uses the number to determine the boat's location. Upon reaching the boat, a fight ensues. However, his endeavor to save Gina eventually leads to his incarceration. After a while, Crane appears and tells him not to try this again. If he is successful, he will instantly shoot Gina to death. Max Adams, an American arms salesman with a close-knit family, becomes Arthur's ultimate target. Following some research, Arthur realizes that Crane is using these deaths to drive out competitors in the armaments trade. As a result, Arthur begins to have second thoughts about his journey. Arthur jumps onto an emergency chopper, shoots one of Adam's security guards from afar, and then sneaks up on his fortress. He enters, disables the security cameras with a jammer, and effortlessly dispatches the guards. As the building is placed on high alert, Arthur guides Adams to his panic room, but elevator troubles hamper their progress. When Adams eventually enters his room, Arthur unexpectedly proposes a collaboration to overthrow Crane. Once he persuades Adams to cooperate in some way, they begin their plan. They stage an explosion in which Adam would be presumed dead. This would elude Crane's men to come seize Adams' properties, hence falling for the trap. After the explosion, Arthur and Adam escape through the underwater. He cautiously brings him to the nearest shore, where they take a rest. As Crane watches the incident on television, news reports show that the explosion buried Adams beneath water. Following the incident, Arthur calls Crane and claims responsibility for the third murder. Crane asks to see his target's dead body first, because he will not believe Adams died till he sees proof. Arthur suggests Crane visit Adams' submarine and uncover his corpse there. Crane assigns his men to locate Adams' body and permanently eliminate Arthur after confirming the murder. As Crane's thugs approach one by one, Arthur prepares lethal traps. They find themselves falling into clever traps and succumbing to Arthur's cunning strategies. Crane gradually realizes that Arthur poses a major threat. Crane uses Gina as bait, keeping her outside on the boat to tempt Arthur. As he arrives, Arthur notices Gina waiting near the helipad. He then brutally attacks Crane's guards, killing them one by one. Gina tries to aid as well, but is injured during the conflict. When Arthur notices this, he immediately places her in an emergency release pod to ensure her safety. He then expertly removes Crane's men before savagely attacking Crane in hand-to-hand combat. Crane, realizing that all of his troops have died, he sets the boat on self-destruction. The two then engage in a furious struggle, but Arthur quickly has the upper hand and uses an anchor chain to secure Crane to the boat. A few seconds later, the boat exploded, killing both of them. Gina observes from a distance, believing Arthur has offered himself as a sacrifice. She then transports the children back to Cambodia and, heartbroken, returns to work. Gina has moved on from the incident as days turn into months. However, Arthur appeared unexpectedly one morning. Gina was surprised to discover that he appeared to be doing well. Adams is also investigating the remains of Crane's boat and putting together the clever plan that enabled Arthur's escape. He discovers video evidence in a diving bell, a device filled with trapped air that enabled Arthur to survive the explosion. Adams is impressed by Arthur's cleverness, so he chooses to remove the security tape in order to secure his future. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.